Folks, when it comes to building high-performing teams, there are lots of different team roadmaps out there. Some of these roadmaps are research-based, some are not. Some are very, very practical, others are not. Some work in a wide variety of team situations, some are pretty narrow in terms of the kinds of teams they work with. We've developed our own proprietary model for building high-performing teams that tries to take advantage of all those different approaches. We built something that has a real solid research base and is consistent with what we know about teams from the literature. It is also very, very practical. All right, so once people see it, they understand it and see how it all fits together. And it can be used in a wide variety of team situations. So the model itself consists of 8 interrelated components. And typically when we describe the model, we start at the bottom of the model and work our way up. And what I'd like to do here is start at the bottom and work you through all 8 components and how they fit together and what they mean. Let's walk through these components one at a time. The first component is called context. And context is all about whether everybody on the team is on the same page about the situation. And I guarantee you, if you've got people who are diverse backgrounds, who are working virtually, or you have a matrix structure going on with your team, chances are people are going to look at the situation very, very differently. They're going to have very different assumptions about the customers, the competitors, regulators, market conditions. What the context component is all about is to just make sure everybody's on the same page about the situation and challenges facing the team. This is probably the most overlooked component in the model, and many other team building models don't factor in the situation and how it affects teamwork. Next in the Rocket model is mission. And mission is about 3 things. Does a team have a clear and compelling purpose? Do we understand why we're there? Do we understand what we need to do to succeed or win? And by that I mean, does the team have a clear set of goals that are measurable so we can determine whether or not we're making progress? And lastly, do we have strategies and plans in place in order to accomplish those goals? The mission component of the Rocket model is the most important component because it drives everything else in the model. Depending upon the purpose of the team and the goals you've set and the strategies you put in place, it will dictate how many people you need, what their skills are, how often you interact, how you work together, the level of buy-in required, etc. So it's really important to get mission right. Talent. Most of the time when people think about talent, they think about the skills or personalities of the people on the team. Now these are important considerations, but they're only one of what we call the 6 rights of talent. High-performing teams have the right number of people. They have an organizational structure that supports teamwork. People on the team have clear roles. We do have the right skills. There are good followership on the team. What I mean by that is people on the team are good team players, and we've got rewards set up that facilitate teamwork. Most teams get talent wrong. This is the most difficult component of the Rocket model. And it's difficult because it involves people. But one thing you have to remember here about talent, it is more than just the skills of the folks on the team. Norms is the next component of the Rocket model. And all teams have formal and informal processes for getting things done. Some of the formal processes might include like a CRM or an ERP, but informal processes are going to involve how work gets handed off to one another, how the team makes decisions, how people communicate with each other. All right, and one of the interesting things about teams is that this is usually the biggest opportunity for improvement. Most teams have informal processes that hinder rather than help team performance. And a great example is if you think about team meetings. Most team meetings are not a particularly good use of team time. That's an example where norms are not working to help the team. The next component in the Rocket model is buy-in. And what buy-in is all about is the level of motivation on the team. The team has got some goals it needs to accomplish. People have specific tasks they need to get done in order for the team to succeed. And overall, is there just enough motivation, buy-in, or commitment to get those goals accomplished? You know, people have choices about where they spend their time, energy, and effort. Are they dedicating enough time to help the team succeed? resources. All teams need data, they need budgets, they need hardware, they need software, they need authority to get things done. Again, this ties back to the mission component of the rocket model. The goals that the team needs to accomplish is going to dictate what kind of resources it needs. Now, the 8 components of the rocket model, this one is oftentimes seen as the biggest excuse why we can't succeed. And oftentimes research shows that teams have all the resources they need to be successful. Most teams squander the resources that they have. Courage. There's been a lot of buzz lately about this notion of psychological safety. Can you create a team where people feel free to challenge each other? That's what the courage component is all about. It really means, has a leader created an environment where people can speak truth to power, can challenge each other freely? This one really deals a lot with conflict management. And with conflict management on a team, it's sort of the Goldilocks scale. You don't want to have too little conflict because then you're not going to get good ideas out on the table, nor do you want too much conflict. You really want just enough conflict to keep people on edge, to make sure people are offering their best ideas, to challenge each other's assumptions, but not so much that becomes interpersonal conflict. Results are the dependent variable in the model. What we mean by that is if you do the other 7 components, results should happen. And really what we're looking at here is if the team has set certain goals, are they actually succeeding? Are they achieving those goals? And there's really 2 criteria we want to look at here. One is what I call an internal criteria around, hey, here's the goals we've set, how are we doing against those goals? And 2, how are we doing against the competition? That's also an important indicator. I've worked with lots of teams where they're getting certain things done, but they're not doing as well vis-a-vis the competition. So high-performing teams actually not only accomplish their own internal goals, but they actually stack up pretty well against the competition too. One of the things that team leaders need to do here in terms of results is teach their teams how to win. Athletic coaches and military leaders obsess over winning. That's all they think about. Business leaders, not so much. All right, and the way you can teach teams how to win is to focus on having a clear set of goals for the team, having action plans underneath those goals to make sure everybody knows what they need to do to succeed, and then do periodic reviews, status reviews, to see how the team is actually progressing. So those are the 8 components of the rocket model. Again, it's a prescriptive model in that it tells you exactly what to do depending upon what might be happening with the team, but it's also a diagnostic model to help pinpoint where a team is doing well and where it's not doing so well. The 8 components are interrelated, and those components that occur earlier in the model or at the bottom of the diagram here are actually more important because they do shape what ends up happening higher up in the model. For more information about the rocket model, please check out our new book, Ignition, which walks through the different components of the model and how to use it. You can also check out our website, www.therocketmodel.com, or contact my colleague Diane Nilsson or myself.